The African Cup of Nations is just around the corner, and I'm sure some Premier League teams will be dreading it. Fulham have been hit hard this time round. Manchester United without Onana. Some Man United fans might like that fact. Amrabat also out. So what I'm going to do now for this video is I'm going to take a look at all the players here, and I'm going to extract the players that are playing in the Premier League, and then we're going to see which teams have been hit the hardest, and I'll give some thoughts on how teams might be able to cope without these players. I mean, the big ones are obviously Salah is gone from Liverpool. In Europe, Osimhen is going to go and play with Nigeria. Their front line is incredible. So let me dissect all of this. And just to note as well, the deadline for the squads is the 3rd of January. So you can see here, this page by the BBC is being updated. Egypt, no squad. The Gambia, Ghana, no squad. So I will not include players that have not been announced unless it is someone like Salah. I will have a little bit of a talk on Liverpool without Salah and any other top level players that have not been officially added to their squads yet. So here we are then. What I did, if anybody's interested, is I fed that article into OpenAI, the playground, so the API of ChatGPT essentially, and asked it to just output it in a bit of a different way so it's easier for me to read and comprehend. And we can see Man United have got 2 players, Onana and Amrabat. We'll start with them, and I think most Man United fans are just keen to see this young keeper that they've signed from Turkey. They've not seen him play yet. They play, is it Wigan, in the FA Cup? I'm sure he'll get a chance, and if he does well, who's to say he can't stay there after Onana comes back from the African Cup of Nations. Amrabat, I think they've got Mainu coming in now, Ericsson back from injury. I don't think they'll miss him. For me, Amrabat has looked unfit, to be honest. He's never really had a decent run of games for Manchester United. Ten Hag does like to chop and change that midfield. And there's other issues at Manchester United, we all know that, so I don't think these couple of players going away is going to exactly derail them. They're still off the tracks, so to speak. Nottingham Forest, 5 players. Serge Aurier, Willy Bolly, Sangare, Kouyaté and Aina as well. Aina's played about 13 games. Kouyaté obviously a physical presence in the midfield. Key player certainly last year. So 5 players missing for Forest. Now that'll be a nuisance of course, but they did a lot of squad building, shall we call it, last year. So they've got players that can come in and replace these. Nico Williams probably going to get a run in the team. For Brentford, 2 players. Now Wissa being out is actually a big one because him and Mbeumo have been sort of trying to fill the gap of Tony, and at the start of the season they were both doing a wonderful job. I think they've been potentially found out a little bit at the moment. So, and Onyeka as well, another important player for Brentford. Those 2 going away, it's not ideal for Thomas Frank, who has lost 6 out of the last 7 games, and you can't exactly tell your players not to go. I mean, this is representing your country. Of course they're going to want to go and play in the African Cup of Nations. So more difficult times maybe incoming for Brentford with those 2 missing. I think I said it in a previous podcast episode and I'll say it again here. They just need to get that money for Ivan Toney January 1st if they can, right? Highest bidder, and then go out and improve that squad and hopefully improve Brentford's fortunes going into the second half of the season. Kabore for Luton Town. He's on loan from Manchester City, isn't he? He's played the majority of games for Luton. He's been very good, so they'll certainly miss him. Traore for Aston Villa. Now again, with some of these teams, it could be that there's actually 2 or 3 other players that might be missing, but those squads have not yet been announced. Dango is going as well for Bournemouth. He's been playing as a left back and he's been playing really well. He was obviously signed as a winger, but in recent times he's been playing as a makeshift left back, and he's been doing very well, so he will be a big loss for them. West Brom have got a couple of players, Watford, Derby, Leicester City, Ndidi and Iheanacho playing. They are pulling away at the top of the championship at the moment, Leicester, so will they be able to deal with both of those players going? Iheanacho, certainly, I think they'll be able to deal without him. Ndidi, they might feel his absence a little bit more than Iheanacho. Fulham's an interesting one. They had a decent spell in December. Bit of a mixed bag, but there was a few weeks where they were scoring for fun. Now, Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi, certainly 2 first-team players that they will be without. They are both going to represent Nigeria, so that's a big loss for them. Tottenham, we see here Pape Sarr, but also the lad next to him, Basuma, as well. When everybody's fit, at the start of the season especially, it was Sarr and Basuma, so they're losing both of those players. And Basuma, because of that suspension that he got, it's working out that he's not going to play for Spurs for maybe like 2 months because he's suspended and now he's going to go away to the African Cup of Nations. So Spurs with Basuma Ansar, Everton with Idrissa Gueye, Chelsea Nicholas Jackson. Does that just push them into the market even more? Chelsea, Nicholas Jackson, he's not exactly prolific, is he? But he is one of their main strikers at the top end of the pitch. And Nkunku coming in, can he stay fit? Can he get the goals? He does look good, but he came off after about 75 minutes in the previous game. So he's still building up his fitness, of course, after the injury. And one player that isn't on here is Mohamed Salah. His impact for Liverpool can't be understated, of course. So we'll take a quick look at the fixtures then, within the context of Liverpool and Salah and potentially Chelsea, Man United. They're all missing a few players, aren't they? So this first game of the year, Liverpool will have Endo and Salah before they go. But then after that, as we get into the middle of January, we can see here Manchester United host Spurs, and that will be, you feel, the first Premier League game for this man, Bayindir. No appearances as of yet. It's likely that he's going to play, as I say, in that FA Cup tie against Wigan. Be a lot of eyeballs on him. I'm sure Ange will want to get a lot of shots in to test him early on. And for Liverpool, they've got Bournemouth away without Salah, and it's actually worked out quite nicely because they play on the 1st of January and they have him then, and the next game in the Premier League is the 21st of January, so Salah will miss that one, and then he will miss as well Liverpool versus Chelsea. I think it definitely is something that Premier League teams, they're never going to come out and say that they don't want these players to go and play. Of course, it's representing your country. But Salah, in the previous competition, I think Egypt played 120 minutes in 4 games. They went the distance, right? That's not what you want for Mo Salah when you've got Champions League games, knockout games coming in, March, April time. But there's not much they can do. Here are the groups. We've got Ivory Coast, who are the hosts, in a group with Nigeria. That should be a good group. You've got Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, Mozambique, Senegal, who are the holders, Cameroon, Guinea and Gambia, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, Angola, Tunisia, Mali, South Africa, Namibia, Morocco, Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia and Tanzania in there as well. So who is your favourite for the competition, and also who do you think is going to suffer the most? There's a lot of players out there for Forest, also 2 key players for Fulham. How will Liverpool cope without Mo Salah in this competition? Let us all know in the comments, and I think, given the squads, Nigeria has to be right up there for the favourites, for me at least anyway. But you never know, when you've got a player like Salah on your team, he can just drag you all the way to the final. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. It was a bit of a different video, quick video, just throwing it out there as somebody asked for it in the Discord, and I thought it was quite an interesting thing to do. So if you've enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe and comment something random. I don't care what you comment, it just helps the algorithm.